Greetings and welcome to your Oracle message for the day. I am Kat Morgan and I welcome you to this video, to this channel, and to this space. This is a collective reading and it is timeless, so whenever and however you come across this video, it's the right time for you to be getting this message. We've been pulling one random card every morning from our mega deck. You can look down in the description below to find out more information about that. But we have pulled a card from the Earth Magic Oracle deck for today. That's by Stephen Farmer. And today's card is Clouds, representing shape-shifting. And before we look in the book, and we will look in the book and find out what the reading says for us for today, but before we do that, I always like to get the information, messages, energy, whatever that's being transmitted to us directly from the image through the image itself before I look in the book. And I haven't looked in the book yet. You and I are going to do that together for the first time in just a few minutes. But what do we see when we are looking at this card? Well, obviously we have clouds. And I see mountains in the background. You notice how and you've seen this, and I actually kind of love this, especially you can see this particularly clearly when you're in an airplane. But the clouds are moving across the land. The shadows move with the clouds depending on where the sun's angle is coming from. And I can see that happening here in this picture, where some things are more defined in the mountains than others because of those shadows that are being cast. And so the first thing that I hear when I see this is shadow, strangely enough. And that there's also, for the big puffy clouds that are very fun, I think they're called cumulus, but I could be wrong. I did one time take a meteorology course, but that was a long time ago. And the brain is crazy. It remembers everything, but it may not have it in the right order if you don't pull it out and dust it off every now and then. But shape-shifting, the shadows change shapes, the clouds change shapes, and we have a strong predilection as human beings to be always looking for things that we can identify in things that we can't. So where we see chaos, we want to find order, always. And the main reason why you feel generally out of sorts a lot of times, for the most part, is because your brain is operating on that 4D, 5D, where you're operating from that place of self-love and love for the other humans and love for the planet and love for creation, where you're coming from that place. But a majority of the energy on this planet from millennia is still moving forward. That momentum is slowing, but it hasn't stopped yet. So we still feel that pressure of not being happy, with not being grateful, with not being satisfied, with understanding where we are energetically and where we are walking energetically don't mesh well. And you get this like constant irritation. It's very strange. I have no idea where that came from with this reading, but if that's something that you've come across recently or something that you continue to have to address in your life, think of it like clouds. Think of it like the shapeshifters that just go by. We understand things are going to come into our lives, go out of our lives. Things are going to change form and structure as we continue to refocus, recalibrate, reassess where we are and where we're going and make sure that they are in alignment. A lot of times we look at clouds and we see different kinds of animals or people's faces. What do we see when I look at this cloud? The first thing I see with the two cumulus is they look very similar. They've got a kind of a horizontal line, a lateral line, and then they kind of have this column, this tower coming up towards the left half. Almost looks like a spaceship with exhaust coming out of the back, right? Or a dragon maybe. Looks like a little snouty thing and a mouth. Do you see that too? So we can look at things and find patterns where there is chaos. It is just a part of our human experience. It's the way that we learn how to navigate the chaos. we have to be able to define the path somehow. And so we figure out things, we think that they look like something or they feel similar to something. They feel familiar. And as long as we can get an idea of whether it's a safe familiar or an unsafe familiar, then we know how to move forward. The other thing I notice with these clouds is there is a big, above them, mass of dark gray stuff. So I feel like there's maybe a storm coming, and these guys are just the the forerunners that are out there clearing the path. So things shapeshift in our world all the time. We think people are going to act a certain way, and they do something completely outside of what we were thinking. And it feels like they've shapeshifted into somebody else. We shapeshift all the time. We move from one type of environment to another. The person you are in your home is probably not the same person you are at your work or at your place of worship or with your buddies when you guys are out doing stuff. Okay? We are shapeshifters constantly. And it's not so much that we're shapeshifting, but just like the clouds, I think of it like diamonds. Each facet is another aspect of our being. We're not a different diamond simply because we have turned slightly or the viewer has turned slightly and sees a different facet now, or another facet has come to light. Shape-shifting is just something that we do on a regular basis. It's something that other people do. We can get caught up in, I've talked about it before on this channel, about labels, about identifying people in particular, and just to be cautious of doing that because they are free to change as well, and they're going to be. Expect that. Don't expect things to stay the same all the time. It's not. People don't. Situations don't. Things are constantly evolving. If things have plateaued, be careful because usually the plateau, there's only one way to go from there, right? And it's not upwards and forwards. So make sure if you feel like you've plateaued, look around you. You may be in the wrong place. You may need to do some shape shifting of your own, but just like the clouds, just understand that things are going to change form and structure as we continue to move through this reality. What our purpose is, the reason why we are here, and how I've come to understand this process for myself personally and for others that I have worked with as well. We understand that this is temporary, that this is not permanent, that things are always changing, and we've learned how to identify ourselves as ourselves without relying on external environmental cues to tell us how to act, to tell us how to speak, how to feel. We don't pay attention to those external environmental cues that are coming from various energies that may not be in alignment with ours. But that's what shape shifting is all about, is what I keep calling manifest shifting. That we're not manifesting our reality. We're not calling things into our experience. We're not reaching out magical, energetic hands and grabbing things that were previously outside of our experience and dragging them into our reality. We're not manifesting in that sense anymore. We have evolved past that process. We are now understanding that we can shift who we think we are. And in that shift, in that shape shift, we change our reality. Our reality must match who we are. So if you're looking at your reality and I'm like, this is all chaos, this is all confusion, I don't know where to go, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't even know who I am right now. If that's that space where you feel like you're walking into this unknown, be happy, be excited. That means that things are changing. You have now walked onto the event horizon, the 0 point energy field, the place where it actually happens, where you can walk along the envelope and walk into the experience you wanted. that it must match you. It absolutely must. We understand there's sometimes a small time lag, or to a greater extent time lag. Everything we've been thinking, feeling, saying, doing for the past 2 to 6 weeks is brought us to where we are right now. And once we recognize and identify that that is our reality, then we have the opportunity to shift it. Let's take a look in the book and find out what the reading says for us for our card for today, clouds, representing shape-shifting. When tiny droplets of water or frozen crystals are surrounded by billions of other droplets or crystals, a cloud is formed. Each of these tiny droplets diffuse and scatter so that the tops of the clouds are white, then fade to gray towards the base as the light is shifted. The nature of cloud formations affect our mood as well as the temperature on the ground and in the air. Their shape, movement, and coloration tell us what weather to expect in the near future, and they nourish our visual hunger during breathtaking sunrises and sunsets. Most of us have had an opportunity at one time or another to notice the shapes and forms clouds take as they drift gently or boldly across the sky, constantly shifting and changing, adjusting themselves to the requirements of their nature. When we take time to simply observe, we can see the cloud people, images that are an elegant collaboration between nature and our imagination. In both subtle and more dramatic ways, you can shapeshift by your choice of clothing, hairstyle, adornments, and even mannerisms, such as facial expressions, gestures, and the way you walk. By adjusting these along with your internal attitude, you can actually display different personas. When you experiment with these variations of self-expression that are not how you normally present yourself, others will react to you depending on the degree in which your persona contrasts with the one they are most familiar with. Be like the clouds as you try out different forms, stretching your limits at times, willing to move and adjust as necessary. Lift your head up. Yes, lift your head up, square your shoulders, and stand tall so that your chest and your heart are open to the world. And note how this feels right now, honey. Right now, sit up straight. Sit up straight. You don't have to stand up. If you're sitting down, stay sitting down. But straighten your spine. Feel like you've got a little invisible cord that's pulling from your tailbone straight up, and just pulling you ever so gently, ever so lovingly towards the heavens. Lift your chin up just slightly, just so that it's parallel with the floor. Pull your shoulders back just a tiny bit where you feel like you're actually pushing your heart forward, just a tiny bit. And just stay in that position. Doesn't that feel amazing? Don't you feel that energy just rush straight down from the crown to the base? Isn't that lovely? You may feel vulnerable at first, but stay with it. Now, let your shoulders fall forward slightly. Pull your chest inward an inch or two and let your chin drop a little. How does this feel? Experiment with contracting your aura, then expand it as far as you comfortably can. By this kind of shape-shifting, you can consciously choose your expression into the world. Just remember who you are at your center. Oh, how fun! I love that. So yes, the point that I would raise is that you can do this every time you walk outside, every time you walk through a room, every time you move from one location to another, in however you are doing that. You can take a moment to make yourself consciously aware of who you are presenting yourself as. Are you presenting yourself as a person who walks from abundance into more abundance? Are you presenting yourself as a person so full of gratitude that you are those cups overflowing? We just had that reading for the weekly Thoth Tarot. I advise you take a look at that if you haven't seen that already. I'm not going to stick it on to the end of this video. You guys know how to find your way around YouTube, but definitely take a look at that because I think it ties right in here. We can choose how we are presenting ourselves to the world, and in that choice, we're choosing our reality. We are shifting ourselves and our reality from that moment to moment. And I will just tell you this. I have found myself personally, and most of the time I try to remove myself from these readings, but obviously I'm part of the collective, so I'm going to have a little energy in here regardless. And anybody that tells you different as a reader is maybe not giving you a clear picture, as it were. But what I have found is that when I take that opportunity, every time I think of it, every time something cues me, I stop for just a second, just like 5 seconds. I've got that to spare for myself. And you've got that to spare for yourself. Just 5 seconds. Stand up just a little straighter, or sit up just a little straighter. Lift that chin just a little bit. Rock those shoulders back just a little bit and let them drop, let them relax. Let that the back of the neck relax and gently rock backwards. The chin automatically drifts up and forward just a little bit, and feel my heart expanding into the space before me as I take that next step through the door, through the doorway, into the next room, whatever. I have found that my reality is changing, that I'm actually shifting into spaces where people are kinder on a regular basis, where people are friendlier on a regular basis, where I keep coming into these experiences that keep validating my personal place. And it's phenomenal. It's like walking in magic. And it is available to you as well. If you haven't already experienced that, feel free to drop any comments that you like on that idea of walking into your reality by your conscious choice of how you present yourself. And if you haven't already liked and or subscribed to the video and our channel, I invite you to do that. I don't get any money from these videos. This will never be a monetized channel. But it does help the YouTube algorithm help other people find these videos and find the channel if they're looking for similar kind of content of love and encouragement and support. We're all just doing our best as we find our way with greater or lesser degrees of confidence. But you have the choice of how you want to present yourself. And in that choice, you are choosing how you are shifting into this reality. So I encourage you to consider trying out different postures, trying out different ways of wearing your same clothes. Try out different ways when you pour your coffee in the morning. Something I started doing long ago, and I find it is so powerful. Beautiful way to start the morning. When I take the cup, I lift it up to the sky and I say, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's like talking to the cosmic barista, right? So I encourage you to have those kind of practices that you're doing all the time throughout the day. They are constant reminders to you of who you truly are. That being of gratitude and that being of joy, that being of light and that being of love. So that is our reading for the day. I do hope that it resonated and blessed you. Leave everything that doesn't resonate with you as always. Take this energy of walking into your presentation of yourself and your experience as making your own reality. That's what our reading is for the day. So have an amazing, fantastic day. I love you. Namaste and ciao for now.